Hello! Welcome to Leaps of Knowledge.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Sarah, and we're so glad to have you join us today.
Leaps of Knowledge is a series of events that bring together the world's leading technologists, innovators, and shapers all in one stage.
Through this, we invite everyone to be a game changer in education. Now, as some of you might know, this year, Leaps of Knowledge is a 5-part virtual series following our values, and they are...
Here to make a difference, enjoy what you do and who you do it with, act with integrity,
reach for perfection, and think ahead and out of the box.
That's right. We released episode H and E earlier this year, in March and May. And today, it's all about our third value, act with integrity.
Okay, let's do a quick run through today's agenda, shall we?
Yes. Episode A premieres at 10 a.m. and you might be watching this from different platforms, Facebook, YouTube, or on the Leaps of Knowledge website itself.
Now, during the episode, keep your eyes open for our Treasure Hunt Episode A edition. What do they need to do, Adrian?
All you have to do is write down the number of times you see a chessboard about this size appearing throughout the episode and submit your answers to the link in the chat box. You'll stand a chance to win Leaps exclusive merchandise when you participate.
So right after the episode, there will be a Connect session where you can hear live from our hosts, meet like-minded people, and reflect on the key takeaways from the episode together.
Don't miss that.
Now, after Connect, we will be back at 3 p.m. for a masterclass on the pedagogy of compassion by Professor Colin Diamond. Want to tell us more about this, Adrian?
Sure. Professor Colin Diamond is the Professor of Educational Leadership at the University of Birmingham. And in this masterclass, he will talk about the pedagogy of compassion and how we can ensure that good values are at the center of education.
That's right. Professor Colin will also lead a panel discussion with some remarkable game changers in education. And this is where we'd love to have you join in on the conversation.
Yes, speaking of empathy and compassion, we launched the Joy Collection in May to give underprivileged children continuous opportunities to learn. Together, FrogAsia, Mangosteen, and Ziply created products sold for charity in support of Pusat Kreatif Kanak-Kanak Tuanku Bainon.
These designs for the Joy Collection were created by other kids through a competition we ran in April. So the Joy Collection is really inspired by children for children. We have a comfy t-shirt with very cute prints by FrogAsia available in adult and children's sizes.
Here's a very joyful looking stationery set by Ziply to add some joy to learning.
And we also have a premium safety kit by Mangosteen. I think this would be a great gift for friends and family.
Couldn't agree with you more. Good idea, Sarah.
Thanks! To shop the collection, visit this link and join us in giving back to those in need.
Alright, we gotta go. The episode's about to start.
You're right. Okay, enjoy watching you guys. We'll see you in an hour.
Kindness, respect, peacemaking, and more.
For me, integrity is about being responsible and respecting others.
If you take your responsibilities really seriously, the problems in the world would really reduce.
These are the kinds of values that people often use to describe what it means to have integrity and good character.
By being respectful, we get to accept other people.
Be kind to people. I feel like that applies not only online but also offline.
But we wonder, are these characteristics truly valued in society today?
Look, I think the best way for our students and our young people to learn good character and values is through really great role models.
My dad has that peacemaking trait where he never let his anger go off. When I see my dad, I see a huge role model.
And if they are, what role is education playing in building young people of good character?
If you have a good teacher, you're going to remember them. And you're going to remember how they taught you these good morals.
Before, it was more about you become good members of society and you become good workers in the economy. But now the concept is about how you become a being, how you become the holistic whole being. That becomes now the goal of education.
How can education really equip young people to navigate the complexities of today's world? Welcome to Leaps of Knowledge, the Heart series. In this episode, we explore our third value, act with integrity. A safe and well-functioning building cannot exist without a firm foundation. Likewise, building a better tomorrow for children means building the right foundation for it today. Having good character and a sense of integrity is that very foundation.
At a young age, children are often taught to be kind, respectful, honest, and all the other attributes that make up good character, and later, a sense of integrity. But it doesn't stop there. Children will keep needing to work on these throughout their growing years, right into adulthood.
Yeah, we're all a work in progress. We believe character development is so crucial to the fabric of a healthy society that it needs to be the core of a holistic education as well. In fact, recognizing that education is to develop a person's virtues has been around since the 4th and 5th centuries.
It later became known as character education, which was the origin of education itself, way before we place an emphasis on industry-specific skills. Character education prepares students to face the chaos of life. We can see how this fast-changing world offers more options than it ever did before, and many areas to navigate for which only character and integrity can be a constant.
Having character and integrity is like a true north that guides a young person even when no one is looking or telling them what to do. It becomes their anchor, something to hold on to in the winds of change, a firm foundation.
So how can we get more people to understand and advocate for the importance of character building in education?
Good question. Professor Colin from the School of Education at the University of Birmingham and Dr. Ko Ji Leong have a few things to say about this and also why character building needs to start at an early age.
Now, the foundations for who we become as adults, our moral values, our virtue start when we're born. Some people say they start before we're born, but they start primarily between the parents and carers and the baby and the infant. And all of that intense love and care that creates that beautiful attachment, that trust between the baby, the infant, and the baby's parents and carers. This is where it all begins. If that doesn't go right in the first place, we've got some issues that we need to catch up with later, and schools do that. However, what we hope for is a very secure upbringing in the early years where the parents, the relatives, the brothers and sisters, if they're around, provide these very basic human values, virtues, the development of character from the outset. So as the young child grows and begins to socialize out of the household, as the child begins to move into playgroups, nursery school settings, the child takes those virtues and values with them. And for the teacher, that's wonderful because they have a solid platform to build on. But if things aren't right, the teacher can use that social situation to help put in place what we would have hoped to have been there in the first place. So early years education is critical here, and it's moving from the family into the outside world and ultimately towards full self-actualization, full autonomy that we have in young adults. It's all built on what happens in the early years. So for example, that right that children have to be in a secure home with good clean water, with access to plentiful food, you can act that out with little puppets, with little teddy bears, with little sheep, with little ponies. And I've seen the teachers pulling out the knowledge, the care, the compassion that the children have for these little toys. Oh, yes, of course we want that little bunny to have a nice house. No, we don't want that other animal disrupting their life or taking their food away.
So I think number one, the word is community. It's reminding students that they are part of a community, that being part of human society means being in community with other people. And therefore, when you're in a community with other people and you're not an island by yourself, you need to understand that your actions and how you relate to other people have an impact on other people. And so what I say and what I do can potentially have either a negative impact or a positive impact on other people. And in the same way, their actions, so what they say and do, potentially has a negative or positive impact on me. So when the new students come in, the question we ask them is, this year in this classroom, what kind of environment do we want to have in the classroom? So one of the questions we ask is, how do you want to feel when you come into class every day? Right? So of course, students will talk about the fact that, for example, you want to feel respected, you want to feel safe, you want to feel accepted, right? And so once there's a clarity about, okay, this is the kind of class environment you would like to experience, then the next question we ask is, therefore, to create this kind of class environment, what are the values that we are committed to? What are the behaviors that we promise to indulge in when we are in the class this year? So of course, in order to feel respected, then we need to respect one another. We need to listen when other people are speaking. We need to, act in a safe way. We cannot indulge in any bullying. We need to be kind to one another. The key part of our value education is, modeling. So we say that children do what we do, not what we say. And I think that's the other common mistake that many times schools or adults make, whether it's teachers or parents, when we try to inculcate values in our children. It's too much talking, right? So we tell them what to do, but oftentimes we fall short. In fact, look, all of us fall short. I think the problem is many of us have stopped trying, right? So if we want to inculcate values like integrity, compassion, kindness, honesty, these are things that students need to see in the adults on campus. They need to see it in their teachers, in the leadership, in principals, so that really what we're doing is creating an environment where children see these values in action. And that's a lot more powerful than anything else. So a good example of this is in all of our schools, we have said that corporal punishment is not acceptable. Any kind of cruelty to students, shouting at students, hurting students physically, reprimanding students in a way that belittles them, right? That dehumanizes the child, makes fun of the child. Now, we don't allow any of our teachers to do that. And I think the reason for that is so that we don't send the message to students that being cruel is acceptable, that we don't send them the message that might makes right, But the idea is that everybody should respect one another. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. It doesn't matter how rich or how poor, what status you have in the school. Everybody, every human being deserves to be treated with a level of respect and dignity. The third thing that I think is really important is exposure. In our school, one of the things that we practice, regularly every year is that children need to have broader community engagement. So in subjects like geography or history, in their community service projects every year, to me, the goal is really to expose them to the broader world. And then once they understand that there are many other people, unlike them, that are very much in need, that are marginalized in society, that are struggling to have, food and water on their tables every day, struggling to get jobs, struggling, in houses that are not big enough to accommodate their families. I've never failed to see a change in attitude. I think being exposed to the realities of human suffering and human need changes their perspective of the world and certainly changes their values.
It might sound a little simple, but this is where it begins. And, wind forward 14 years from that, you'll see these students, perhaps in an international baccalaureate environment, having deep philosophical discussions about such things. But it starts, the foundations are there in the early years.
Professor Colin and Dr. Goh have given us a good idea of why it's important to start building character early and what is needed to continue developing character in students as they grow.
And here's where the Jubilee framework comes in. It was developed by the Jubilee Center for Character and Virtues, which is a research center based in the University of Birmingham.
The framework maps out 4 building blocks of character: intellectual virtues, moral virtues, civic virtues, and performance virtues. Together, they help us practice wisdom when virtues may collide.
Now, the question is, how do you convey these ideas to students to pick them up and apply it?
By understanding that character is taught, caught, and sought. For character to be taught, the school provides educational experiences in and out of the classroom. Students are equipped with the language, knowledge, understanding, and skills and attributes for character development.
For character to be caught, it has to happen naturally, meaning the school community, that is both staff and students, should provide the example, culture, and influence that motivates and promotes character development.
And finally, for character to be sought. This happens when students develop a habit of seeking, desiring, and freely pursuing their own character development. The school provides opportunities for reflection, and this helps students develop personal habits committed to character. It's similar to what Dr. Goh shared about community, character modeling, and creating learning environments. These things provide visual and tangible experiences that build character.
Yeah, and I can see how an education that looks like this will continue to stand the test of time, even while our world changes and advances. Let's see what teachers and students think about character in today's digitally driven context.
Yeah, it's so important to build character in today's online and offline world, because really I think those two things shouldn't be different. We shouldn't be differentiating between our behavior or how we act in those two separate parts of our lives, because if there's a certain way you would act in person, you should still act that way with respect, with compassion, with empathy online. And I say that as an educator, and I say that as a parent of 2 young children, that's a question that I ask them is if you were standing in front of this person, would you say things in that way to them that you have done online? And vice versa. And I think if they can't answer that question in the affirmative, then we've got some work to do to help them understand that in better ways.
Character is just so important online these days. And I think one reason for that is that the internet just offers this sort of anonymity. People hide behind their usernames, behind their social media accounts. And as a result, we're not really held responsible for the things that we say and do. And, we've seen so many cases of horrible cases of cyberbullying and other similar instances. And so the only thing that's actually going to police this is the strength of the person's character, because you may not suffer the consequences of what you've done. It has to come from the character then, that you know that this is the right thing or this is the wrong thing to do. And that's why I think character is just so important online these days.
And being careful with what you put online is a big thing, because You know how you say, the saying, treat people the way you want to be treated, or if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
It's true that real life takes place whether you're online or offline. This is a world with both complexities. And with any new and widely used tool comes a new way of life and a whole new set of necessary competencies.
Though our values ought to remain the same, it's helpful when we can visualize what they look like in our current context. For many people, to be citizens of character in today's world is to also learn to be a digital citizen.
If you're wondering what being a digital citizen involves, DQ Institute has a comprehensive answer. Founded by Dr. Yu-Yun Park, DQ Institute is an international think tank that set the world's first global standard for digital literacy, skills, and its readiness.
Dr. Park developed an entire concept and framework for this, with resources and a community of support available for educators to use. It can be used to prepare students to live with the right values within a digital world and also creatively leverage technology so they can contribute towards a better society.
If you think about the human as a body, mind, and spirit, that's what people say, soul or whatever. And then the machine take over the body, right? From the first and second industrial revolution. And second part is we are starting computer and extended brain. And now we come to the fourth industrial revolutions, when we believe that AI can become a better and smarter than us, and they can even become so creative than us, right? Then what's left? That's actually the question of everybody. So when we have body, mind, spirit, now the body is we are losing, and then now mind is we are losing. What's left? I believe that what's left for us is what makes us a more human, which is the human value. So it is critical when people talk about digital skills. They usually think about coding skills or robotics or something technical skills, but that's not it. Yep, that is part of it. That's not everything of it. It is critically important to have our educations more deeply and more thoroughly on the universal human value, which is most important piece of the digital intelligence. Along that line, when we developed the digital citizenship out of the DQ framework, we believe that digital citizenship is basically the golden opportunity for individuals to think about the values in the digital age. After COVID-19, some research organizations shows that the screen time of individual children have been doubled. And then the cyber risk, including cyberbullying, gaming disorders, social media addictions, privacy issues, and all other have been remarkably increased. According to our DQ Institute research, we found that before COVID-19, 60%, which means 60, more than 1 out of 2 children have experienced at least one cyber risk in the past 1 year. So if you imagine if this increase up, that means like we can imagine the number can go up. So it is critically important for us to equip our children to have the digital citizenship. So it is no longer about an optional competency among many other competency within the digital skill. It is a must-have. Every child needs to know how to use technology safely and responsibly and ethically, and live as a good digital citizen, as a member of digital society. Digital citizenship means it's a set of skill set that enables individuals to become an independent thinker who can minimize the risk and maximize the potential of technology. Digital life is actually not just about how to become a better programmer. It's actually part of our whole life. So we look at every area of our life. We start with the identity, and then how we use, and how can we be safe? How can we be secure? How we can communicate with others as a communications? How can we have emotional intelligence? How can we have a literacy, which is write, read, and participate? And then what is a human right in the digital age? So we look at the all holistic, our digital life. So that's 8 area. And then we are thinking about maturity model. It's just like how we live in a physical life. We learn, and then we learn how to live in this digital, in this physical world, just like how we live in the digital life. That's a citizenship. And then when we know how to live, we create. So digital, second part is digital creativity. When we know how to create, we want to translate our creations into the value. That's competitiveness. So it can be innovation, it can be work skills, it can be social entrepreneurship, it can be change maker skills, whatever that is. So it is a very simple concept. We look at 8 different areas of digital life, and then 3 maturity models as we actually mature our knowledge. That's why the DQ is quite a big overarching concept rather than specific skill set. The role of teachers has been shifted from the one-way street of giving educations and direction, from that role to the partnership. So they become the learning partners rather than it's just dictate that we deliver the knowledge to students. They become a facilitators, they become a thought partners, and helping children to give, thinking about asking our own questions to the subject topics. But at the same time, I think it is very, very important for edtech companies to play the role to fill the gap. So that doesn't mean the importance teachers has been decreased. I think quite opposite. Because of that reason, there are so many information out there. There are so many tools out there. But what is actually lacking is good teachers, good mentors, the people who can actually help children to realize their potential and then help them to guide them to go to the next level.
Education cannot exist in a bubble of its own. Like Dr. Park mentioned, edtech companies and other players in the public and private sector can collaborate to fill in these gaps. In 2020, Teach for Malaysia partnered with Facebook to roll out their We Think Digital program in Malaysia. The aim was to provide digital citizenship education to all schools in the country.
So we've conducted a YouGov survey, I think last year or the year before, and it's indicated that actually most Malaysians turn to social media for useful info and important news. About 66% of Malaysians do that. And also only 29% of people surveyed who encountered false information and false news would report it. So we can already see a slight difference in how they're consuming information and how they're reacting to it. And also Malaysians are generally not knowledgeable about password security measures, but only 42% of people surveyed in Malaysia are aware of two-factor authentication. And which is why we hear a lot about like hacking cases, hacked accounts. And also 59% of people surveyed who shared an online article checked if they were from a reputable organization. So that also tells us a little about how people and users share information, particularly when it comes to misinformation or fake news. So we can already see some of the broad trends and stats of how users in Malaysia behave. But moving forward, how do we foster a more informed, a more responsible digital community? For us, it's really about empowerment. Empowerment, not only for students, but also parents and educators. So it's really important to spark a conversation, for parents to spark a conversation with their children about online safety and well-being through sound digital literacy. So the first would be an introduction. Basically, you're welcome to the digital world. What is the internet and social media? How does it work? The second module is about you in an online world. All you need to know about safety and security online and managing your digital footprint. And lastly, you as a digital citizen. So we'll share insights into digital discourse and the differences between interacting online versus offline, your rights and responsibilities, as well as country as internet concepts like accepting difference, netiquette, being a creator, copyright, and plagiarism. So very much the ultimate goal of this program is to create responsible digital citizens.
Their survey findings on behavior towards fake news were eye-opening. The reality of fake news is something we're all familiar with. I think the need to apply wisdom in these situations is a very real example of how character is the foundation of good digital citizenship.
Yes, as connectivity increases around the world, it also divides. Fake news is what fuels another pressing issue of our time: polarization. Social media platforms have created these echo chambers where we're fed with information that only covers what we would be interested in, from a perspective that's familiar to us. This limits our ability to consider a different perspective because we get so accustomed to viewing the world from just one angle. Society is at polar opposites when it comes to having an opinion these days.
To be fair, even before social media played such a big role in how we view the world, conflict has always existed between two parties that are vastly different, usually when differences cannot be understood or threatens the peace.
One teacher who's working hard to bridge that gap is Ranjit Singh Desali from Maharashtra, India. He won the prestigious Global Teacher Prize in 2020, and one of the many things he's been recognized for is helping to create environments where young people can have conversations with those who think differently.
Ranjit founded Let's Cross the Borders, a project that connects young people from conflict zones: India and Pakistan, Palestine and Israel, Iraq and Iran, and USA and North Korea. Over a 6-week program, students are matched with a peace buddy from other countries with whom they closely interact to understand their similarities.
So far, Ranjit has initiated an incredible 19,000 students from 8 countries into this program.
One day I was reading a Global Peace Index report, and there I find out very interesting facts. Those countries like India, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Palestine had spent millions of dollars, and still they were fighting, and still they are fighting again. So it means fighting is not a solution. So I thought, if all these countries would have invested half of the money in the education, what would be the result? And who will start this? So I started because the students, those who are in the classroom right now, are the leaders of tomorrow. So whether these leaders will be following the way of fighting or the way of following the principle of non-violence. So choice is theirs, but we have to put the choices in front of them. And just by providing the choice of being or the following the principle of non-violence, Let's Cross the Borders, its project is all about promoting peace and following the principle of non-violence. So every year, it's a phase 1. Phase 1 is all about selecting schools and teachers. In the second stage, it carried out 6 weeks long, because the topics in the second phase are actually well designed. In first week, when students connect with each other, we call them as the peace buddies, and one to one get a peace buddy from their counterpart country. In the second week, we talk about why are we fighting. So Indian students come up with their own answers, Pakistani students come up with their own answers. In third week, we talk about similarities and differences. what are the similarities between India and Pakistan and what are the differences? Students come up with hundreds of similar things, but they couldn't find out the different things. Hardly 3 or 4 things are different. Indians looks like Pakistanis. They speak same language. Their religions, their culture looks pretty much similar. And why are we fighting? We have to be friends of each other. Both we read a paragraph from one of the book written by Mr. Satya Nadella, the sitting CEO of Microsoft, and there he talked about empathy and compassion. In fifth week, we invite guest speakers from most peaceful countries like Finland, New Zealand, Austria, and these teachers are expected to share their journey of being peaceful countries. And in the last week, we call it as a what next. Now it's up to the students whether they want to continue their friendship or they want to stop it. It's up to the students. So we respect their decisions. And then later on, students are expected to share their learnings with their peers in the schools and do peaceful activities, promote peace. And those who are very active students, the teachers call them as a colonel of the army. So this is how students, we are having a peace army of around 90,000 students till now. Frankly, I was not expecting a positive change in an instant, maybe in a year or 2 or 3, because it's a process. It's a long process because we are just putting a thought in their minds, right? So they're gonna be changing. It should be changed. But fortunately, in 2019, just after one year, there was a very tense situation on border on India and Pakistan. It was very tense. And the Pulwama attack was happened. It was like war was about to happen. But I thought, what my students, what my soldiers of peace army doing right now? What are their feelings for their counterpart in country? What are the Indians' feelings for Pakistani students? And I never imagined all the students are still continuing their friendship and they were not hesitating that we love each other irrespective of our countries fighting for a very small cause. So I think this was a positive change. And it's very shocking if you look or if you know that the Indians are loving Pakistani. Oh my God, it's going to be the big news here in India, right? Or even in Pakistan as well. But I think we don't have to limit these students within the boundaries of the countries. We are ultimately global citizens and anyone can love each other. It's up to them. If they want to love each other, they want to become a friends of each other, we should respect.
Character education is the one thing that will help students navigate the complexities of our changing world. When we talk about 21st century education, we often refer to the 4 C's: creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. At FrogAsia, we believe there is a 5th C, and that's character. We believe that teachers like Ranjit play a significant role in creating environments like this, and we've had the honor of meeting so many. Every Teachers' Day, we recognize inspiring teachers who are such great models to their students.
Yes, it's important to celebrate teachers who are great character models in their own way. After all, in any difficult situation, having the right character becomes our anchor. It gives us the foundation for resilience, grit, and perseverance.
If there's someone who has witnessed how powerful and important character education is, it's Patrina Satvinda. She and her husband Elisha founded the Dignity for Children Foundation. It's a one-stop holistic community learning center for the underprivileged urban poor, addressing the needs of children from preschool to O-levels and vocational skills.
Many of these children come from displaced families who struggle to make ends meet. Their living and social environment often present situations that no child should have to experience. Despite these circumstances, Patrina tells us how value-based education builds their resilience, transforming their lives one step at a time.
Dignity for Children is such a special place, and the students here, they're so confident, they're so respectful. Why do you think it's so important for education to build a good foundation of values like this in students?
Think of it this way. You can score straight A in life, and there's nothing wrong with it, and feel very proud of yourself. But it is your character that will weather the hard storm in life, isn't it? We are not equipping the student adequately if we just focus on academic. Each student will go through a lot of hard knocks, and they will definitely have experienced many failures. But it is very important that we give them a strong moral foundation to fall back on.
We love what you say about morals being an important foundation. How has education here been transformational for students?
At Dignity, we focus strongly on altruistic behavior. We teach the students to be mindful of others, and we remind them constantly to be mindful of others and their environment by intentionally allocating time for students to reflect and express themselves. We also run many workshops that focuses, specific topic like bullying, their body image, self-care, and more. We believe that education that is grounded in real life experiences, and that is very important. So at the transformational enterprises, so you can just imagine the first thing the student will learn is a skill. But it's not just learning a skill, it is the mastery of skill that we are after. So when you want to master any skill, it will demand a very high level of focus and concentration. Then not only that, it will definitely change your character. The student who come to learn the skill, they have to be so patient. They have to persevere when it's difficult and not just give up halfway. And they have to find the courage inside them. I can do this. I want to learn new things and develop passion and more. Secondly, what I like about this transformational enterprise is that the student will have to problem solve and come up with useful product to the community. So here the student learn to be creative, solve problem. Then they go through this thinking where they have to source for material ethically. And then when they finish everything, we ask the question at the end, what's the environmental impact of our work? Here at Dignity, we have about 13 different skill training. We have urban gardening, sewing, graphic designing, coding, and more. And students learn the skill alongside their academics, like their mathematics, English, and so forth. And for us, it's not just a vocational classroom. The vocational classes with business in mind and dealing with real customer. So when given such holistic learning environment, when the student comes, something connects in their mind and they become a keen learner. And many of them come from very difficult family background, and they do have lots of trauma and fear and all sorts of negative emotion. They have a very negative impact on them. And by them coming to work with their hand and engaging their mind and their heart, that helps to build them a sense of dignity, accomplishment, and just to summarize that, they have this tremendous sense of self-confidence. Character formation takes time, but surely but slowly we will see it. One of our students, Henry, he comes from a male-dominated culture of bullies and fights. Today, when you see him, you won't even notice that because he's very quick to come around and say, can I serve you? Can I help you? Can I? Yeah, and he finds such joy in serving others. And he also learned to express his emotion verbally. And before in his culture, it's just using fists, but now he learned to use word instead. Just the other day at the farm, I heard him say, because he's a strong believer that boys need to be in the kitchen as much as girls, And when you really think about where he came from, that cultural background, he's definitely has changed. He's 1 in a million for me.
What can educators learn from Dignity for Children about educating for character?
Again, there is no simple formula to educate for character. What most important is to first make sure our teacher understand the vision. We tell them they're not here just to teach math or English, but they're here to transform lives. Secondly, we believe in placing students in real world environment, expose them to the real world. And then they learn how to be respectful and do things with excellence because the real world situation requires it. Thirdly, I think it all comes down to passion for character education. It might not really be a focus right now because we are so exam-based, right? Because the exam-based education does not really care for building of good character. But when the teachers start to take it seriously and in their mindset that it has to be character first, instead of seeing just as another add-on, and then we will definitely see things will change for the better.
Dignity for Children shows us how a holistic, character-based education can result in a generation of people who are able to lead the way forward in trying times.
Character brings a transformation that their families, their community, and this world needs, simply because they're able to respond to their situations, not react. To choose differently and uphold a sense of virtue in all circumstances. So, where were we? Oh, yes, my turn.
Bring it on.
As we watch and learn from those before us, the courage and path set by everyday heroes we know, knights in plain clothes, we consider their example of kindness, respect, empathy, humility, and sacrifice. These values and virtues pave the way for us to move forward, whether in today's complex world or tomorrow's unknown. Checkmate.
The ideas we've discussed today are just the building blocks of what education needs to be for our time. As Professor Colin Diamond says, it's crucial to begin early, and there are so many creative ways of introducing these concepts to young minds.
Sharing from over 25 years of experience in education, Dr. Goh Chi Leong describes what a holistic character-based education looks like. A community to grow with, teachers who role model integrity, and exposing students so that they are able to encounter situations beyond their comfort zones.
This is similar to the Jubilee Centre's understanding that character is meant to be taught, caught, and sought for true transformation to happen. These days, with the option of having less accountability in virtual settings, character matters even more. Educators can make sure kids are ready to lead positively in this brave new world with support from materials and programs like what DQ Institute and Facebook provides.
Character education is the one thing that will help students navigate the complexities we experience today. As Ranjit and Petrina's students have shown, it starts with respect, empathy, and understanding.
It's our hope that you too will value character building and implement integrity in all that you do and teach.
Together, let's keep building upon this foundation and continuously design education to equip young people to lead and care for others in today's world.
For me, excellence is not an end goal, it's really a journey.
Reaching for excellence. These two words are actually in paradox with each other.
Set your focus, stay the course.
And with all the pressure, it's very exhausting.
Because you never reach excellence. It's a consistent and continuous pursuit.
How can we, learn to make mistakes while we're learning, but now we improve ourselves?
We either go all out for major affirmation without the reference to anything negative, or we go all out for negative referencing and don't give credence to anything positive. What I'm saying is actually we need really healthy balance here.
What a great message, especially for our time, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like that the core of education should be for character and integrity. Life is so much more than just knowledge or hard skills. So many of our tasks are going to be managed by technology anyway. So the real need will be for young people to know how to make sound decisions and have empathy for others.
Spot on. What's your biggest takeaway? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please join the Connect session right after this. At Connect, you get to hear live from our hosts, gather in groups, and explore today's topic even further.
Yes, there are actually 2 more events right after this. We have Connect at 11 a.m. and the Masterclass at 3 p.m. To access either one, just scan this code right here or go to this short link.
By the way, Connect has limited seats and it's on first come, first served basis. So hurry! If you experience any difficulties, feel free to chat with us on leapsofknowledge.com.
And if you enjoyed the episode, please tell your friends about it and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Leaps of Knowledge to get the updates on the following episodes. Don't forget that our masterclass with Professor Colin is at 3 p.m. Just click on the link to register. Oh, do the participants get certificates?
Yes, they do. To get your certificate of attendance for the masterclass, remember to fill in a feedback form which will be given to you after the session.
Great! Now Connect is gonna start real soon. Have a great one, you guys, and thank you so much for watching. See you at Connect and the masterclass.
Bye!
I wanna be somebody who matters, and I wanna see the world from higher heights, and I wanna dream and watch in different shadows. Could it be that we could make a life of respect? So in this heart of mine, I'll choose to always be a pillar of integrity, because the world is mine. Afraid to bleed from the words of others. We could just let our hearts beat and love the rest. Oh, we've got everything it takes just to make a difference. You know it's buried way inside. The world is a broken place. We see it every single day. Can't turn our heads and walk away. We've got to find the strength to say no more, no more. We've got everything we need just to change the future. Life of respect. So in this heart of mine, I'll choose to always be a pillar of integrity. Because the world is mine. Takes just to make a difference. You know it's buried way inside our bones. If we weren't so afraid to break from the weight of failure, we'd help the broken everywhere we go. My eyes are wide open. I see you clear. My toes touch the same floor our world has been shaking on. Oh, what's your soul saying? Oh, is your world a life of respect? So in this heart of mine, I'll choose to always be a pillar of integrity. Because the world is mine. Your face